Dances with Wolves, Bull Durham. In his latest movie, Kevin Costner tackles a new role, a grandfather who loses his daughter, loses his wife, and finds himself having to raise his 7-year-old mixed-race granddaughter alone while desperately fighting to keep custody of her. Take a look.
Do you really plan on raising this girl all by yourself?
This is every day?
Yeah.
Do you need to call her other grandmother?
Grandma Wee Wee?
Yeah.
The last person I need around me right now is Grandma Wee Wee.
Miss Miller, that's right. You got a plan for Eloise in light of all this?
You tied it like a tennis shoe.
It's got a whole lot of family down with me.
Well, you can always...
Academy Award-winning actor Kevin Costner is so kind to stop by the Great Day set to tell us about his new movie, Black or White. Kevin, what a treat it is to meet you. Thank you for coming to our Great Day set. I find it so fascinating that you believed in this movie, in this story, in this experience so much that you and your cousin put your money behind it.
Yeah, well, we didn't want it to be that way. I thought that a lot of people would rush to make this movie, but it didn't happen. And the reality is that's not the first time it's happened in my career. You know, Dances with Wolves is something I had to pull together and with people.
Pull together.
And, yeah, and you know, for that matter, little movies like Bull Durham. You know, I had to go around the studios twice to get that movie made, and now yet it lives as a classic. And Black or White, really, to me, when I read it, I thought, oh my God, this has the same potential as something like Field of Dreams that can get under your skin. It's something you maybe can't forget. And really, to me, the movie experience, when it's at its best, it's about things you never forget.
Lasting. 20 years from now, you want us to still be watching this
well,
movie.
I think a movie has the potential to do that, and I think Black or White has that.
Talk about the timing with this, in particular here in the St. Louis area and really across the country. Right now we are having very long conversations about racial divide and where we go from here. The timing on this movie is pretty incredible because you touch so many topics that we really want to say in everyday life, but none of us really do.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a movie that by design, you know, and our problems didn't start in August in Ferguson. We have been dealing with this for a long time. It's the ugliest thing that we could be dealing with it, you know, that we don't acknowledge each other and the respect that we all want from each other. And this movie doesn't attempt to solve that. It simply is a great starting place to have the conversation. You know, a lot of times when we're dealing with race, we're making movies that look backwards, you know, at history. The history of be it Selma or The Butler or something like that, you know. This movie is the difference about this movie is I think it's a very authentic look at where we're at today when it comes to race. But the truth of the movie is it's about this little girl. It's about her welfare and the people that are worried where she should really be. And when it gets into a custody battle, when somebody thinks they're going to lose, in this instance, race starts to play a big role where it really should be about the welfare of the child. And what's the beauty of the movie ultimately at the end of the day is that you realize that this child can be very supported and very loved in both communities. And what a good resolve that is.
Certainly. And the script that you read at the very beginning, it was just as similar as how the movie ends.
We didn't change anything. All the things that would have been politically correct to take out of, because it was my money, because it was something that I believed in, I was insistent on those things staying, because a movie doesn't do us any good if it dances around the truth that we all acknowledge is out there. And this movie doesn't. But, you know, underneath it's a very warm movie. It is about family. There's a sense of humor that you really don't anticipate when you go into this movie. In fact, there's a big sense of humor. There's a lot of relief, if you will.
What about this role for you as a grandfather, trying to raise? You lose so many people that are precious to you in your life, and you find yourself having to tell her to brush her teeth and having to figure out how to comb her hair, while at the same time battling a drinking problem. So many times when I saw the movie last night, I wanted to walk up to the screen and like pull that glass of alcohol from you. You had such a different role in this movie.
When we see people battling and we see something like substance abuse alter them, we do want to step in. And what we realize is that we can't always do that, that somehow we hope the person shoots out the other end of the tunnel and is all right. But you're on the brink, and my character isn't the only one that's dealing with with addiction issues. And it's just the way the movie goes back and forth is so even-handed. You don't know where the movie's going to, every time you think the movie's going one way, it goes the other. But the reality is that Black or White, you know, becomes what a lot of movies can be and try to be, but sometimes don't end up being there. I've made a lot of movies, and whether there be political thrillers or westerns or love stories or comedies, you know, they are what they are. But when you do a movie and you get at the heart and soul of it, sometimes something magical happens with a movie. If you think back on scenes that you loved in Bull Durham, or if you think back on what you loved about Field of Dreams, when movies are working at their very best, they can be things that you take with you the rest of your life. And certainly what happens in the courtroom at the end of this movie is something that will stay with people, I think, because it stayed with me. And I trust myself on that. If I think it does it to me, I think it has a chance to do it to people who still love movies and want to go to them. So my hope is that people not just in St. Louis, not just in Ferguson, because we are Ferguson. This is our country, and what's wrong we have to fix. We have to try. And if we don't try, we're not the country we really think we are. But this is, I made this for America. I made it for the world. You know, I want my movies to be seen. And I think Black or White has that chance to live in our consciousness long after its opening weekend.
You certainly accomplished that emotional connection to the movie, and I know that when people do see the movie, when it comes out later this month, they will walk away with the inspiration and the motivation to push themselves outside of their comfort zone, to address that elephant in the room.
If that happens, I couldn't be happier. I didn't make it with the idea that that would, but if it does, that is the power of the movie, and that's the power of Black or White. And my hope is that it does, and maybe a movie like this won't be so hard to make for somebody else.
We think that we know you so well because we have seen you on the screen so much, but I have 4 quick questions. We call it the Fast Four. I want to get to know...
Fast Four, Fast Five, what is it?
Fast Forward. This is Channel 4.
Okay,
Fast Four, okay? Favorite baseball team?
Favorite baseball team? The Dodgers are my team.
Cardinals. Favorite Kevin Costner movie?
I rooted for them in '68. You know, for about 3 or 4 years, they were my team. Lou Brock was my favorite baseball player, and it was a magic time those years they were playing. So I was always disturbed when Northrop hits the ball over Flood's head.
I highly encourage you to circle back in 2015. Favorite Kevin Costner movie?
Well, you know, I'm glad it hasn't boiled down to just one. You know, I've loved the ride. I think you know, Bull Durham was one of my favorites. Open Range. There I go. I start this list and I can't. So sorry about this one thing.
Favorite food?
Food. Well, that's got to be. I like ribs or something about holding on to your food.
Yeah, something about
and,
getting
and throwing it away when you're kind of done.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, you can
let
find
the
some
wolves fight over it.
Great ribs here in St. Louis. Last one. Greatest fear?
Fear that I won't be the one to raise my children and teach them.
And a happy early birthday to you. You got one of those big milestone birthdays coming up this weekend.
We had to end on such a low.
Yeah, 40, right?
Is there any other question in there that's more lightweight?
Something you don't always share about yourself.
Don't share about myself? I watch fishing shows.
Really?
I'm so sorry. It's such a guilty pleasure for me. Oh, that's a nice one. As a fisherman always say, it doesn't matter what side. That's a good look. That's a good fish. Let's put him back.
Enjoy the time away from reality.
Let's put him
too.
back. Let's measure him.
Black or White hits theaters January 30th. What an honor. What a pleasure.
Perspective.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for being